of this meeting. So the meeting's called to order. It is January 4th, 2021. And we're going to start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. There's a small flag back behind me, or Gina may pop one up on the screen. So please stand up and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you so much. Okay, there's no presentations tonight and no speakers tonight. So we're going to start with the approval of the council meeting minutes and closed minutes from the December council meetings. So I hope everyone's had a chance to review those, and is there a motion to approve those? Okay, I see Councilwoman Washaba has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, and Councilmember Reed has seconded. Are there any comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And Jason, you're muted. You're... Councilmember Poirier.
I lost video of him.
Okay, he's bouncing around my screen. Jason, can you hear us? One more second. Councilmember Poirier, can you hear us okay? Because you're muted right now. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I'm also on babysitting duty as well, so that's why.
Okay, all right. We made a motion on the minutes. They were seconded.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, and we see our Tom McKern has joined us. Hello. Happy New Year. So, okay, next on the agenda is the police report from Chief Reitz. I believe I saw him on here as well.
I'm here, Larry.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Start off with the Chief's report for the month of December. Trainings and meetings. Lieutenant Snyder completed his drug recognition expert training and final exam, and is now a certified drug recognition expert. And this will aid the department in successful detection and prosecution of individuals operating vehicles under the influence of drugs. Corporal Brooks attended level 2 accident reconstruction school at the Baltimore County Police Department in Dundalk, Maryland. As far as community outreach, just to let everybody know, the police department still continues to work on a modified status with the civilian employees due to COVID-19. Majority of the work is being handled by telework. Civilian employees spend a maximum of 2 days a week at the station, and their shifts are staggered so they don't have interaction with one another. And the lobby's closed to the public, but we also have the phone number to the Emergency Communications Center posted on the door for people to call. And it's also posted on our website and everything, so people can get a hold of us. The police officers are still on duty for the bulk of the time. As far as calls for service, we had 645 calls for service this month. This is a decrease of 17% compared to December of 2019. As far as Part 1 crimes, the police department handled 12 Part 1 crimes this December. That is an 11% decrease compared to November and a 6% decrease compared to December 2019. As far as Part 2 crimes, we handled 16 Part 2 crimes. That is an 11% decrease compared to November of this year and a 6% decrease compared to December of 2019. We're happy to report that there was no opioid overdoses in town this month. Let me get into the traffic and and criminal arrest statistics for the department. We handled 84 Part 1 offenses this year in town for traffic arrest or traffic information. We had 31 citations issued, 50 warnings, 14 equipment repair orders. We made 3 DUI arrests, and we had 3 other traffic arrests with a total of 62 traffic stops. During the month, we made 2 criminal arrests and handled 61 reports. And that's the report for the month. Does anybody have any questions?
I was going to make a comment. First of all, this is a really good report because it wraps up all of 2020 and compares it to 2019. So it's I appreciate you putting the trends in there. The only question that I had was it looks like some of the class or the Part 1 offenses are theft from areas like Brittany Manor where construction's going on and stuff. And my question is, I'm asking a kind of a trending question. When a new construction site is put up or where there's a lot of construction going on, or maybe on Rising Ridge Road where there's industrial, does that require more police coverage than you would normally anticipate? Is there a significant problem with materials being stolen from construction sites?
As far as a trend in town, no, I don't think it's a trend. This was kind of an unusual case. But yes, a lot of problems. You have a lot of construction material that's left there unattended, and the officers do patrol those areas quite frequently as well. But sometimes it's just the luck of the draw, really. We don't have any particular noticeable crime pattern that's developed in areas where there's construction ongoing.
Okay, all right, thank you. Did anyone else have questions or comments? All right, thanks so much, Chief.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. All right, next is the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report, and we have Bruce Walls here to give us that report.
Thank you. Incident report for December. Rescue calls, we had 80 in Carroll, 37 in Frederick, 12 in Howard, and 5 in Montgomery, for a total of 134 rescue calls for service. Fire, we had 8 in Carroll, 7 in Frederick, 3 in Howard, 1 in Montgomery, for a total of 19, which resulted in 88 calls for service in Carroll, 44 in Frederick, 15 in Howard, 6 in Montgomery, for 153 calls for service. For the year 2020, we had a total of 679 fire calls that we responded to, and 1,530 EMS calls. So it was a pretty active year for us. We do have some change in leadership in the fire company. Dan Kaola will remain as president, but Kenny Stahl is back in as fire chief. He had been out for 2 years while Jeff Lohman was holding that position, and Jeff has decided not to seek re-election, so Kenny Stahl now is our fire chief. The station status is we've gone a little higher level of lockdown with the surge of COVID going on. So if you need to go to the firehouse for any reason, please call and make arrangements because there's a sign-in process and a health questionnaire that's required anytime you go in or out of the fire hall. So we'll accommodate citizens as much as possible, but we do have a higher level of lockdown at the station. Truck 1 has returned from having its equipment mounted, so it's now back in the station. We're looking for sometime in February for that to go in service. The personnel will be working with it and going in driver's training and also operational training. So you may see it around town being driven or at different locations, practicing with ladders and things. So we're really excited about that. And we're hoping to get that in service as soon as possible. That'll be a big asset for our community. And again, we thank the town for their support in our purchasing that piece of equipment. That concludes what I have as far as the fire department, but if I may just quickly put on my Board of Election Supervisors hat, the mayor will be recommending the reappointment of the members of the commission. And so we're looking forward to that. We have a Zoom meeting scheduled for next Wednesday evening to begin talking about the election, and it will be coming up before you know it on May 3rd. And this will be a council and mayoral election. So please, if you know of anyone that's interested, or if you're trying to decide whether you're going to seek re-election, those of you that your terms are up, start thinking about this. One of the things we'll be working on in the meeting will be setting the dates for the nominating committee and absentee ballots, and also addressing how we will proceed with an election, probably still being under COVID restrictions. So it'll be a busy time for us, but we're looking forward to having another successful election. And that's all I have. If there are any questions.
Bruce, this is Tony Burke. I had a question. Is there any consideration being given to mail-in ballots?
We haven't discussed that, but we would probably lean towards just utilizing our regular absentee ballot process. In other words, just have people get absentee ballots rather than mail-in ballots. But again, that's something that we have to discuss. And so I can't rule it out, but it's something that we'll have to consider doing that. And the one issue that brings up is if we were to go to mail-in ballots or even increase the number of absentee ballots, that would create a paper ballot. And we now use electronic in-person voting. So we'd have to change our mechanism of voting, because we could be overwhelmed with paper ballots, and that can lead to a very long night. So that's all things that have to be considered by the commission.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, council?
Hey, Larry, I just want to say, hey, Bruce, there have been some towns and municipalities in Maryland that have done strictly mail-in. I can dig up that information for you if you need, if you decide to go that route, if you want to talk to them to see, you know, what the concerns were and how they handled the increase in paper ballots.
Oh, yes, of course, there's a lot of information out there about mail-in ballots.
But local Maryland base that said they worked fine. So,
yes, we'll look into that and see how we want to proceed and just go from there. But you know, a lot will depend on, you know, where we are in May with COVID.
Yeah. Bruce, I had a question about the activities center building. Are you guys still renting it out under current COVID conditions? And how does that work with the governor's 10-person limit? What guidance has the fire department gotten?
We have been renting it out at 50% capacity. I referred the town staff to contact our rental person to find out exactly what the situation is at the current time on that. But we are looking into that as a possible venue for your meeting.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? All right, thank you so much, Bruce.
And I'm going to leave the meeting at this point. So
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, next on the agenda is community concern citizen comments. And there is a phone number that was given on the agenda. Do we currently, Gina or Holly, have anyone waiting to make comments?
Not currently, but
sorry, Gina.
sorry, I just wanted to remind everybody that you can either press *9 if you're dialing in, calling in for you to be recognized to speak, or you can use the raise your hand feature. Go
Okay,
ahead,
so
Holly.
no phone calls and no emails, Larry.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will move on then to ordinance and resolutions. First is ordinance 2020-30. That's developers' rights and responsibilities. This is for reintroduction, so we don't exceed any timelines, and to schedule a public hearing. And I'll move to reintroduce. Is there a second on that? Okay, Councilmember Munder is seconded. Now, as far as setting a public hearing, I was thinking before the February 1st meeting, which is our council meeting, and setting that time for 7:15. Does that sound okay? And Tom, is there anything else that needs to be done on this?
No, of course, planning is going to review it, I gather, at the end of January. So I'm not sure when their time frame starts or ends. I haven't looked at that, but
Okay.
it could extend beyond February, I guess.
Okay. All right. And council members, if you have comments on that between now and next month, I encourage you to send Tom an email and ask your questions between now and then. So thank you.
Roxanne would like to be recognized.
Okay.
Larry, like Tom says, I don't know if we'll get through it in our meeting in January. They
Okay.
might want to discuss it further, but I'll let you know as soon as the meeting is over.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If
Mhm.
if we have to reschedule, we will. So
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2021-2. That's a budget amendment for the Center Street connection site acquisition project for $500,000. This is only for introduction tonight. I'll move to introduce it. Is there a second on that? Okay, Councilmember Poirier has seconded, and we'll see that next month. I will pause for a second to see if anyone has any questions about that they may want to ask David at this point. Otherwise, we'll just deal with it next month. All right, moving on. Next is Resolution 2021-1. That's to update the town's investment policies. This is for adoption tonight. Would someone like to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion for the town to adopt resolution 2020-1 to update the town's investment policies.
Okay, and is there a second on that? Councilmember Poirier. And with that, we'll turn it over to David so he can explain what the resolution is all about.
Yes, we've got a notice from our auditors that our 1996 investment policy needed some updating. And things have changed since then. And so we took their comments, what they felt we needed to do to come into, I guess, compliance with our own policy, changed it. Charlene's reviewed it, Holly's reviewed it, Tom's reviewed it. All the inputs come in. And basically the same framework as to what we had, we just brought it up to 2021 from 1996. The only other thing we did was there was a procedure aspect that also needed to be instituted, which we never found evidence of back in 96. So we've put that in place too. When we got it all together, we ran it by the mayor. We did ask Tom whether this has to go through the process of council confirmation, and it does, and thus it's before you again tonight. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council members? And I thought it's on email. Carl, did you find a typo in there somewhere?
Yes, I did find a typo. David corrected it. So I was going to say thank you for David to listening to my concerns and taking care of it also.
Okay, all right. So with, and that was just a, was it grammar or punctuation or something?
Two words were missing, so we put the 2 words in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not a significant change.
No.
I don't see any reason unless Tom does to call it an amended version. So,
No.
no, okay. All right, with no more discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that is unanimous and that is passed. All right. Moving on, next on the agenda, there's no unfinished business. New business is the annexation plan for the Harrison LaShire property. And to get the, what needs to be done is the plan needs to be approved and forwarded to the county and the state. So I'll make a motion that we approve the plan and permit staff to send this on to the county and the state for review. And so I'll make that motion. Is there a second on that? All right, looked like Councilmember Washabaugh beat out Councilmember Munder by.
Oh, well, ladies first.
All right, so we're into discussion, and as I brought up last month, we have a plan, we have a resolution, we have an agreement, 3 annexation documents. The annexation plan is not approval by the council of the annexation resolution or the annexation agreement. This is something that just, it's another wicket that we have to get through to get to the point that we're actually talking about passing the annexation in the town. So that's where we're at, and that's the purpose of this evening. So it is not approval of the overall annexation. It's only approval of one document that will be forwarded to the county and the state, and we'll wait for their input to come back, and then we'll be into a public hearing scenario followed by a vote on the resolution and the annexation agreement. So any comments from fellow councilmen? No. Okay. All right. And Roxanne, did you want to speak at this point?
I just want to make sure, Tom, we have, I don't know that this part of the goes to the state and the county, but that we have in there about the well, if the wells fail, do we have that in there for the people? Has that come back or?
No, that has not been agreed to yet. My understanding was that we were attempting to, not we, but maybe perhaps Larry and Carl were, the head of the IDA, the new head of the IDA, reached out to them to set a meeting to discuss these things. I think due to the holidays that did not occur yet. Again, this is just a comment piece, basically. It is a document that sort of summarizes everything for the county and the state departments of planning to comment on and send their written comments back to the town. They'll also, by the way, get the resolution, which is a proposal basically, as well as the proposed agreement, with the understanding there may be changes to that depending on what the council directs and based on public comment.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that's gets in there somehow.
I would add to that, what we have done we've asked the IDA, in particular, Frank Dirtsbaugh, to go back to the IDA and send us some sort of a written document that answers the questions that we brought up a couple months ago. That's what we've asked for, and we have not received that at this point. So that's kind of where we're at, is waiting for something somewhat official to come back from the IDA. So
we do have an attendee wishing to be recognized. I don't know if, I see Patty just raised her hand. Perhaps you want to recognize her first.
Yeah, let's go to Councilwoman Washabaugh, please.
So I just want to understand this a little bit better. This document that we have, you said this is going to the state
and the county.
And the county. All right. So, but what concerns me is I understand it's pretty much just the overall plan that we're going to be doing. We haven't gotten down to the brass tacks, but making sure that those water, the wells are going to be something that, we protect for those people is a really big issue, I think, I can't speak for all of us, but I've heard other people say that they would like that to be something that we have that in place for the people if we were to move forward. So it just concerns me that nothing is in this, because if they sign off on this, or, can we say this is contingent upon this agreement that's being, taking place right now between the county and the IDA?
Well, just the purpose of this particular document, these go specifically to the departments of planning at the state and the county level. And because of the zoning waiver, ultimately the county commissioners, because they have to waive the request for, a more intensive zone in the town than outside of the county. Purpose is to look at, basically the purpose of the document is to say, look, if we annex, doesn't say we're going to, just if we annex, here's what infrastructure is going to be needed or extended. Here's how the town plans to pay for it, or or the developer is going to be paying for it, or whatever the terms are. That's really limited purposes of this document. What happens after this is, of course, the public hearing, and then thereafter, at some point after that, a vote yay or nay on the annexation. What often occurs in between the public hearing and the ultimate vote, with council direction, of course, are in effect negotiations on these very types of points. What's the annexation agreement ultimately going to have in it? And in this case, will there be a provision in it that provides some measure of protection, or some separate MOU, sort of a companion agreement? Of course, both sides have to agree to it. IDA could say we don't agree to that, and therefore withdrawing the annexation request from the annexation petition. Or conversely, they might say, no, we're not willing to do it. And the town might say, we're not willing then to annex. So it's kind of like we did with Dorsey Tag.
Okay, all right, so we will have that opportunity to finish.
Oh, yes.
Okay, now I just saw a couple areas. I don't know if this is a typo or not. It seemed to be a typo to me on page 3 and page 5. On page 3, under Article 4, where it talks about the sewer supply, on the first line, it says the IDA. I think it should be the IDA is responsible for design. Is that a correct statement, or am I reading it incorrectly?
John, do you have that in front of you?
I do. It could be is, or it could be the annexation plan would be the responsibility, or is responsible for design and construction of sewer systems on the office park parcel and office park and parcel A, including under the road, under and across Route 27. So that is correct. Is would be correct.
Okay.
I agree,
And
it's a
then I
typo.
believe the same thing would be on page 5, under Article 3 sewer. It should read, see above, the annexation of this parcel would affect the town sewer capacity. The IDA is responsible for design. So,
Correct.
okay, great, thank you.
I'll make that change.
Okay, and there was a citizen wanting to make a comment, is that correct?
Yes, Michelle Landrum, you've been unmuted and can speak.
Hi, this is actually Steve Trice, not trying to mislead you. I'm just at Michelle's house and we're using her Facebook Live, so sorry about
Okay.
that. But, I was going to echo Patty's question about, the concern about sending this on to the county and the state. So Tom answered that. But my second question is for, I guess, Larry and Carl. What is, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but what's the holdup with the IDA responding to the request? It's been several months. Is there a reason? Is there a normal expectation of time on when they would typically respond?
Well, I mean, this is, it was in December, and I don't have the date right in front of me, but we did end up with Dirtspaw on the phone, and we asked for something in writing. And that was, it was before Christmas, and I suspect, you know, it probably just rounded off to January. So certainly I'll be bugging them again and getting Tom in on that email as well, requesting an answer to all the issues that were brought up in the fall.
Okay, I was under the impression it had been sent a month or two before that, so I apologize. And so that was my only question. And I want to personally thank Patty publicly for coming out and surveying the land with me a couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, and actually getting a feel for what the citizen concern is on the property as well. I know a lot of you other guys have been out there already, so thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
You're more than welcome, Steve. It was my pleasure.
All right, any other comments?
There aren't any comments on the Zoom meeting, but we do have a comment from Bob King on their Facebook Live. He's saying that Barney conducted a very intense water test and test performed way above expectations.
Okay. All right.
Larry, one other thing, did Pam have a question for H&L, or did she?
No, it was more of just a statement. You know, obviously protecting the wells is very important, but I think I wanted clarification for the purpose of what we're doing today. It's a little premature to have that conversation, correct, Larry?
Personally, I think I don't think it's part of the annexation plan, but I do believe that that we need to follow up with the IDA and keep this going so that we have answers in front of the public hearing, so that we don't have a public hearing and still have these questions lying out there. And I don't, you know, the answer will either be favorable or it won't be. And, you know, we just need to have those cards on the table by the time we get to a public hearing, in my opinion. Tom, does that, I mean, is that reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We do have a comment in the chat from Diane saying the IDA talked about this request in their October-November meeting.
Okay. All right. Okay. We don't have something in writing right now, and that's what I'm pressing for is something in writing. So, okay. So as for the annexation plan, if everybody's ready, I think we are, we'll vote on that motion to accept the plan and forward it to the county and the state. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, looks like we're all in favor of that. So this document will move on. And second thing I'd like to do this evening is go ahead and tentatively set that date so that we have something to anticipate. And with the state is a 30-day requirement and the county is a 30-day, but they request an extra 30 days. So 60 days on them. So I was looking at the week of March 22nd to March 26th. And it sounds like the Wednesday during that week is not a player, but the Monday, Tuesday, or the Thursday, Friday are available just to keep us off of, you know, keep our I was thinking Tuesday, the 23rd. How does that feel to everyone? Got one thumbs up. We'll go with the thumbs up vote. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and set that for the 23rd. And of course, we're going to be looking at COVID and trying to make sure I'd much rather do this in person than do it online. I think that would be more favorable to everyone. So we'll keep an eye on COVID restrictions and see if we can get the activities building and have enough capacity to get people in there or have people cycle in and out as we need to. So that's my thought process moving forward on this. Does anyone have any better idea?
No, Larry, is it 7 or 7:30?
Or what works better for everyone? I can do either.
Anytime is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 7:30. Okay, that'll give everyone a little bit of extra time to get there.
Larry, this is Tony Burke. Just to be clear, that's for the public hearing. You're setting that date for a public hearing on this plan?
Yeah, a public hearing on the Harrison-Lashir annexation.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Tom, would you agree that we've satisfied all the business we need to on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is the basic engineering consulting services recommendation for approval. And Barney has that one. So we'll let him give us information on that, and then we'll make a motion on it after he tells us what we're up to.
After every 5 years, using a consultant for basic engineering services.
Barney, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. So could you get closer or speak up, please?
We've obtained GMB services for their engineering services for the past 5 years, and according to code, we have to resolicit qualifications for a new consultant or the same consultant. So we did that, and we received a lot of interest. We had 10 consultants that were interested in doing our engineering services. We narrowed them down and interviewed 4 of them. And as part of their bid package, they were to provide a scope methodology for designing the roundabout, because Chick-fil-A had just been approved. We decided to use that project in conjunction with the engineering qualifications and put a package out there. So we received 4, as far as the interviews, they came in, they presented their methodology on that roundabout. They were all very good. We found AMT had a best methodology, and they can handle all of our services except for water and sewer treatment. And so we were recommending AMT to do everything but the treatment, and retain RK&K, which we had 5 years ago, to do the engineering, water and sewer engineering. The reason we chose the roundabout project again is because Chick-fil-A was just recently approved their site plan. They are planning to start in April, be done by the end of the year. As part of their plan, they're going to be eliminating the left turn movement from Ridgeside Drive onto Main Street. That's going to send everybody up the hill. And that's basically phase 1 of the ultimate plan, where phase 2 would be to put the circle in. But part of phase 1, they would loop around, go up the hill, loop around to Ridgeville, East Ridgeville, make a right, come down to 27, so they can get back to where they want to go. Again, it's kind of like a roundabout way to go. So we're trying to make it, the circle or the roundabout would make it easier for them to get back to 27 and Route 70. This proposal's in front of you, along with the recommendations for the engineering firms. AMT was not the cheapest, but they were one of the lower ones as far as cost goes, but again, their qualifications and their methodology, we found second to none. So we were recommending the proposal in the amount of 190,000 to AMT.
So Barney, when is the construction of the roundabout supposed to happen?
Well, ultimately, it would be best if that could happen the same time Chick-fil-A could happen, but that's not going to happen because we'd be lucky to get engineering done by the time that's fully built out. So just so that I understand the traffic pattern, and this might be a little self-serving because it doesn't impact me, or it does impact me. So if you're leaving South Main Street, will you still be able to make a right onto Main Street heading towards 27 and then make a left into McDonald's? Yes.
Okay, because basically what's going to happen is all that traffic is going to be pushed up the street. And unless that roundabout's there, it's going to be virtually impossible for the residents leaving South Main Street to make a left.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult thing now, especially with sight distances off to the left. You have cars flying over the hill and you see them at the last moment.
Yeah.
So it's not the best laid out intersection currently. And yes, it'll be sending more traffic up the hill.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately, quite frankly, if that's where all the traffic is going to be going, I truly hope the roundabout is big enough to kind of handle it, because it will make it a little hard for the residents that are back there, including, gosh, what's the road right behind me? Is it Rising Ridge?
Yeah, Rising Ridge,
Yeah.
extended, yep.
Yeah.
Councilmember Poirier.
I understand, Barney, what's trying to happen in this recommendation. I think we're trying to put two one, and I think they need to be two separate documents on a AMT with a 5 contract with the town and R and K for the water and sewer. I also think that because with Chick-fil-A and the amount of traffic that this is going to impose, I'm not sure if any of the other council members asked the Chick-fil-A. You know, I don't want to say that I'm privy to any information. I'm no traffic expert, but I think I'd like to see what AM's plan actually I have no problem awarding AMT with a 5-year contract. And I would like to see AMT with a separate design cost of $190,000. But I would kind of like to see what they have in mind before I award them with a contract, if that makes any sense, Larry and Barney.
Yeah, so the basic engineering services is Scope A, and Scope B is the roundabout for the 190,000. So those are your two parts. We didn't dump all the information. There's a lot of technical information that came with their submissions and with their interviews. And AMT, for example, gave us 3 roundabout choices. To some degree, they're somewhat detailed, but not detailed as much as they'll do in the initial phase of the engineering. The initial phase is $45,000. That does a feasibility study and a survey of everything, all the utilities, everything that's there, so they can put a good project together. They don't necessarily have all that information, so to share those circles with you, those layouts, again, they're still a little premature to put it out there, but we could certainly share them with you if that would help.
I would like to get information from maybe some of my fellow council members. Do you guys feel like, I don't know, this is such a big project? I mean,
Yeah. I'll go real quicker. Jason, I think you're correct in breaking this into two parts, and that's kind of why I didn't want to make a motion until we at least went around the room and talked about this. But I think you're on track. I like the way you're thinking about breaking it apart and potentially even asking Barney to come back next month with a little more information about what we're talking about. Because when I saw this document, it's the first time I really heard about a roundabout and you know, and then saw a price tag to it that's significant. And I think before expending that sort of money, we need to have a little more idea what we're spending it on. Councilwoman Washabaugh, you had a comment?
Yes, a couple comments, but as you know, I'm the liaison for streets and roads, and this is perfect timing, Barney, because tomorrow we have a meeting. And we would love for you to come to our meeting. We can actually talk about this a little bit more in detail. But I have a few concerns. One is, I know that we discussed the roundabout, but the last time I discussed this, I believe with you and John, I was under the impression that we weren't moving forward for a while because of the cost, and that we still don't know what's going to be happening with the Basel property. It's now 2021, 2023, we're revisiting the master plan, and that property could be, rezoned. I'm sure that they're probably going to be coming to the town to request that. And if that happens, depending on who buys or develops that property would depend on how much money we would have to put in as well, because I know there's some type of a formula that's been generated so that the developers would have a certain portion to put in for me. So I'm a little, as much as, it may be beneficial in the long run, I think we have to sort of take baby steps here. But I would very much appreciate it if you could attend our meeting tomorrow night and do a presentation for us, because I think we've talked about it, but we haven't seen anything. We didn't have really any numbers to go with. So I would also I also agree with what Jason said. I would like to break it into two parts and maybe just take little baby steps along the way. But I think it would be very helpful to have you at our meeting tomorrow night. It starts at 7 o'clock.
Okay,
I
could do that.
I just have one more follow-up to Patty. So I would say that the circle is needed regardless if Chick-fil-A was coming or not. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, I live over there. I live through that intersection surprisingly every day. But what I would like to see, I never really kind of understood the traffic pattern that was being created as a result of the Chick-fil-A. And I just want to make sure that the traffic circle that hopefully potentially goes in there is one large enough and engineered in a way that it would sort of limit the impact or be able to handle the amount of traffic that it's going to get. I do think the circle is needed, but with that, Patty, and this is just kind of a follow-up to you, I'm not sure that the Voslo property really affects that circle because that development would happen closer down to 27. I think the intersection that would be more impacted would actually be the new traffic pattern being created by Chick-fil-A closer to 27, not at the top of the hill. So again, I think the circle is needed.
Well, I think, it has been reviewed, but like the highlight or the overview of that roundabout has been discussed. But we really need to get down into the particulars, but we're talking about a lot of money. And for one, I understand that. I've tried making that left-hand turn out of extended South Main, and you're taking your life in your hands, especially when it's very, very busy. So, that's why we even began discussing that option. But at this point, it's, I think, a little bit premature. I don't think just because Chick-fil-A is coming into town, it's going to readily substantiate putting a roundabout there, because not everybody is going to be making a left out of Chick-fil-A and making the right on South Main Street. A lot of people are going to be making a right and going up to the intersection by Walmart and making the right to get to 27 that way. And the same with McDonald's. Not everybody's making a right. A lot of people making a left and going up to Ridgeville. So it's, I think we need to look at everything before we decide that that's the actual remedy to the problem. There is going to be traffic issues. I have a lot of reservations. I've had reservations from the beginning, but I don't think at this point we need to put the roundabout there at this moment before Chick-fil-A goes in, due to money. I think it's going to be very expensive. So we just have to, like I said, I'd like to take little baby steps before we just jump in with 2 feet. But that's my opinion. And so that's why I would really appreciate Barney coming to our meeting tomorrow, because the people at Streets and Roads haven't seen that either. As far as, what type of roundabout we're looking at, what are the costs, what is the traffic that we think is going to be generated from Chick-fil-A? How is that going to be the actual thing that will remedy that problem? If not, are there any other options that we have in front of us? So I just think rather than run into this particular option, I think we need to just step back a little bit and look at everything a little bit more closely.
Okay, let me, Councilmember Munder, I think you're the only one who hasn't chimed in yet.
Well, I agree with everything that was said here, particularly what Jason brought up about splitting this into a 2-part award. I don't have a problem, as I mentioned to Barney earlier in some emails, when most of these questions I brought up with him in some email exchanges, that I would prefer the breakup of awarding the contract now, and then as he suggested, maybe just the $45,000 for, say, scope A, I believe, or the preliminary study, and then come back and agree with the larger portion of the award next month or March. Because as Patty has suggested, the total cost of this is a pretty substantial price tag. So I would like to see what's being offered before we jump in here also. So,
Okay.
as Patty said, baby steps.
I think so I think what Councilman Poirier was suggesting was to approve AMT and RK and K as our engineering consultants. And Carl, you added in there splitting up the roundabout. Is that something you would want to discuss next month? Because personally, I'd like to see Barney, even though, I know sometimes you put a diagram up and everybody just, locks in on it and says that's the way it's going to be. But I think we really need to see something. We need to see a diagram of where we're going before even I'm comfortable with the 45,000, the initial part. So maybe tonight we could make that motion to approve the consultants, and next month Barney could put up a couple slides for us and talk about the pro rata payoff for this, because I think Barney has some ideas and they might even be in here. They're just not clear to us right now of how we would get that money back from future development So I'd like to see all that next month.
Okay.
Before we put out a vote on it. Jason.
I just wanted to, before we make that motion, there is a lot of, like, I'm looking through this memorandum, there's a lot of language that's tied to the 190 and AMT with this roundabout. If possible, I would like to table this to next month and just get two clean up documents and make sure everything's in the proper order for all of our eyes before we approve this.
Okay, so we'll call it postponing instead of tabling, so we can doctor the document between now and then. Jason, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to push this memorandum of awarding AMT and RK&K for the town's projects for the next 5 years.
Okay, and is there a second on that? Okay, Councilwoman Washaba seconded, and Barney, does that lock us down to anything does anything have to be done tonight, or can we wait till next month?
No, it doesn't have to be done tonight, no.
Okay. All right. And Tom, any legal issues with doing it this way?
No, you can postpone it to next time.
All right. Any other comments before we vote on a postponement of this memorandum? Okay, all in favor of postponing until February, the request for qualifications and proposals of consulting engineers for basic engineering services and upcoming capital projects, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are postponed for 1 month on that document. Okay, and Jason, do you mind sending an email to David and Barney and probably CC Tom on it?
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, and that takes us down to the mayor and council reports. I don't think that Pat got on here. I saw he was thinking about joining us, but David, I'm going to put you on the spot. Did Pat have anything he wanted to pass on to us this evening?
Yeah, one of the things the mayor wanted to mention, and I'll mention it for him, is that he's asked the staff to engage and discuss with Mr. Burke, the messenger, a means by which we can work together to put some feature, for lack of a better term, articles into the messenger. These are the type of articles that we may see a need for, and I'll use an example, our upcoming loan program for the businesses. We would ask Mr. Burke to put something together using resources, our resources, reaching out and basically doing a story on the particulars of what the business needs are, where they're going with this, what we're proposing to provide, in order to just provide more information. Not everybody has a computer, especially our seniors, and they depend on the messenger. We put information up on our website, but they don't always have either the ability or the desire or the access to that. So that's another aspect that we may want to look at. The mayor suggested focusing on the seniors. What's coming up that COVID related that the seniors that's available to them, prescription delivery, et cetera. We put items up there, but we think that this would really sell it. I think as we look down the road, there's going to be a vaccination process, and we've all heard the vaccination process for people that are in care facilities like Lorianne. But what about someone like my mom who still lives at home at 89? How does she get that vaccination? So we're going to tag into asking Mr. Burke to run with some of the information that we have, fleshing it out, going to the health department for Frederick and Carroll County. Just the aspect of, okay, I live in Frederick County, I'm still in Mount Airy, but how do I can I cross the lines to go to Carroll County? Probably not. Frederick County does have a sub-zero freezer, so we know they have the Pfizer vaccine on hand right now. It'll be the Moderna, it looks like, from Carroll County if they don't have the Sub-Zero. So all those little details that may get lost on our website that we'd like to get out there. The mayor's idea is that we work in conjunction with Mr. Burke and the messenger and ask him to provide the background and the deep depth of the information that we may have to put it into his own writing style. We're not going to dictate what he writes or how he writes it. But in order to put it out there for the readers so that they can be better informed and we would almost seed some of the things that we think are important that we can touch on, but we just can't really get into all of the details. So the mayor is working. We met today or Zoom today and talked to Mr. Burke about that. We're going to report back to the mayor of how this is coming about. But right now we're focusing on the COVID related because it's very important. And it falls in line with his proposal to work with the messenger to try to get more detail out there and to hopefully in the long run, maybe even boost some of the subscriptions to the messenger because this information is desirable by folks who may want to read it. So I just wanted to let you know that that's something that the mayor wanted to send out to everyone in the mayor and council, that that's something in the works, but we are on it. He thought of that this weekend and we started working on it today.
Thank you, David. All
David,
right,
David, this is Tony Burke. Just a point of information. For the January edition, did we change the focus from the small business loan program? No, that's still.
Well, that's still January. February, we should have be looking for the COVID. It is related COVID wise for the loan program, but
yes,
that's something that's hitting the streets right now that we're going to make that maybe the first item we address.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, David, and thank you, Tony. So next thing on the mayor's docket is the commission appointments, and we have a note here that the mayor will be recommending at the January town council meeting that Mark Moxley, Dick Swanson, Bruce Walls, and Anne Marie Duckett be reappointed to the Board of Supervisors of Elections, and also recommending reappointment to Recycling and Tom Neff to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission. I'll make a motion to approve his appointments. Is there a second? Okay, Council Member Reed jumped in there, and any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, that's unanimous. All right, and next on the list is Beautification, Parks and Recreation Commission, Councilmember Munder.
All righty now. Thank you, Council President Hushhour. There was no Beautification Commission meeting last month due to it being December, and it is customary for commissions not to hold their December meetings unless they choose to. So the next Beautification Commission will be held on Tuesday, the 19th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. There was a Recreation and Park Commission meeting held on 12/17 at 7 p.m. via Zoom to complete some unfinished business relating to the placing of exercise equipment in Wildwood Park. After a thorough discussion, the board voted not in favor of the equipment being placed in Wildwood Park due to the fact that they believe that it would not go along with the nature of the park as being a peaceful, reflective walking and play area. So, and it was suggested by some members of the board that the $15,000 that were allotted in this year's budget for the playground equipment to be reassigned to other projects within the Parks and Rec arena, like a potential planning for the mountain bike trail on Windy Ridge, or the construction of a walkway at East West Park, or the replacement of the swing set in Wildwood that was taken away due to structural concerns of it several years ago. And the next meeting for Parks and Recs will be 1/21 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And that concludes my reports.
Okay, thank you. Next is Economic Development and the Planning Commission, Councilmember Reed.
Yep, so the Economic Development Commission nor the Planning Commission met in the month of December because of the holidays. The Economic Development Commission will meet again on Wednesday, January 27th at 7 p.m. And the Planning Commission will meet on Monday, January 25th at 7 p.m. I do want to mention that the application process is opening tomorrow for the Mount Airy COVID Relief Loan Program. Again, that is a zero interest loan for 12 months, awarded in increments of $5,000 to $10,000. So any local business that wants to apply for that loan can reach out to Melissa Thorne in Town Hall or go to the town's webpage to pull down the information. That concludes my report.
All right, and next is Sanitation and Recycling and Mount Airy Sustainable Commission, Councilmember Poirier.
Thank you, Larry. Once again, we did not hold any meetings in December. I've been busy trying to keep everyone up to date on the Christmas tree pickup. There was some confusion in dates with that, but everything is now squared away with Recycle Coach. Our Christmas tree pickup for in-town residents is scheduled for January 16th on that Saturday. My next meeting will be on the 20th for recycling and sanitation at 7 p.m. And just a reminder for the Christmas tree pickup that it is also a yard waste day, and that is the last one before April. So if you do have some sticks or branches you want to throw out there, go ahead, just put them in a bag and the guys will pick them up.
All right, thanks so much. And I just want to say you've done a great job and your commission's done a great job. It's great to turn on Facebook and see exactly when the pickups are going to be, because I know it's been confusing over the last couple of weeks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, next is the Streets and Roads Commission, Councilmember Washaba.
Thanks, Larry. Well, as I mentioned before, our meeting is going to be tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It will be a Zoom webinar. So anybody out there that might be listening for our council meeting today, you are more than welcome to Zoom in. And if you have some questions or concerns, we'll be able to let you, in. I think Gina said that she would be able to unmute you and you'd be able to talk. So that will be really great, because previously it's always been a Zoom meeting, but tomorrow will be a Zoom webinar. And since I don't have a lot to talk about for the streets and roads, I do have something to talk about, which I'm very excited about. And that is we will be reopening the the banners for the heroes. And so I know we have about 5 people right now that are on a waiting list. For anybody else that's interested, please contact the town, or you can be watching on the website. We will be having some information. We're going to be having a meeting very shortly to figure out when exactly the exact date is that we would open it up. But we were trying to aim for maybe the middle of January. So we will have an application that will be on the website. You'll be able to fill that out. And any information that you may require, the town staff will be glad to get back to you if you have any questions. So we're very excited. Next month, actually, we'll be requesting some more money from the town for this to happen. But I'm really excited because we've had such a good response, and there were so many people that wanted to partake in it. So the program will be opening up shortly, and we'll be able to hopefully get the banners back and installed prior to Memorial Day. So that's what I have to say, and that's all I have.
All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, your commission has done a great job on the banner project, and see tons of good comments on it and tons of pictures going up online and everything. So good work on
that's
all
great.
that.
Thanks.
Okay, next is the Water and Sewer Commission, and that's myself. And we did meet in December. The highlight for the Water and Sewer Commission is John Cherry, a member, has been working diligently for the last 6 months on the water restrictions guidelines in the event that we have a drought scenario. It's always better to get this stuff out before you need it. So so he's been working on that along with the commission, and they're almost to a point of having a smooth document to present. And so I talked with Pat and David and Chairman Dick Swanson via Zoom to talk about the process of moving forward. And the process that we decided on, the mayor has not so much that it needs a vote by the council, but he does want the council to see this document and vet it, give some comments on it, and make sure it's something that that the town could live with. And the quick summary of this is that we used to have 7 tiers of restrictions. It's like every time we hit a wicket, we had 7 of these wickets that we would go through until we finally told people that they could no longer use water for their gardens and such. We've taken that down to 3 tiers, kind of a red, yellow, green type of setup. And our Water and Sewer Commission meeting for January is in 2 days on January 6th. And they're going to be finalizing that document. And my intention is to put it on new business for February so that we can make comments to it and then present that to the mayor and David to be implemented into the town's processes. And I don't believe that requires a vote unless, Tom, would you think a guideline like that would require a vote?
No, I don't, not in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we came up with as well, is that we just need to give this thing a good solid sniff and then turn it back over to the mayor and David to be implemented into our guidelines. Okay, so so you'll see that next month. As far as the Historical Society goes, we finally got out to Rails to Trails and installed a new sign at the Watkins end of the trail. I'd like to thank Doc O'Brien and Jack Raines. Jack Raines helped on the caboose a lot, so he kind of came out of retirement for us. And he and Doc put together this gorgeous sign, and it's on a locust post, so it's going to be there. It's going to outlive us all. So it'll be out there for a long time. So so we got that sunk in the ground on the 50-degree day on Saturday. So so a nice new feature to the park, and we retired the sign that Lynn Hoffman made for us back in 2013 when we first started the trail, and we appreciate her artistic work on that sign, and it certainly got us through 7 years, so we greatly appreciate that. And that's all except for January 6th is the next Water and Sewer Commission meeting, and that'll be at 7 p.m. on Zoom if anyone is interested in attending that. Okay, and next is the town administrator report. David, did you want to go over the document that you gave us briefly?
Sure. Let me just note that right up front, if anyone can't figure it out, we are still teleworking as for this Zoom meeting. We are trying to put in place some protective devices in the council room for the mayor and council, so that even when we get to a point where we feel comfortable coming back in, we'll still have another measure of protection sitting closer to each other. I will note that we have finalized out our CARES Act allocation from Frederick County and Carroll County. There was some question at the end there with what Congress was doing. They were talking about extension when the president was indicating he might veto the bill. we decided to put all our chips on the table and make sure we didn't leave any money on the table. So we have put in all of our final submissions. The feds did change the ruling somewhat, where they were allowing us to cover salaries and benefits for the police in a non-hazard duty pay situation. So I appreciate Charlene's efforts on that to pull that together very quickly. That allowed us to put in our final submission to Frederick and Carroll County. So there's talk that this new bill that's coming out of Congress may have some additional money. We're going to keep an eye on that. If so, then it will go to the state, to the county, and hopefully come down to us. But at this point in time, we're closing the books on the CARES Act. And I know that there's payroll protection in that bill for any businesses that would like to tap into that. But as far as municipal allocations, that's not real clear at this point. If we hear something, we will let you know.
All right, thank you. All right, next is Tom McCarron and our town attorney report.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Since the last meeting, I've worked a little bit on the CSX, trying to finalize that. That contract is in the mayor's hands at this point in time. I also, as Dave Warrington indicated, reviewed the investment policy that he was kind enough to prepare, and also attended the special exception extension hearing of the Board of Appeals, and basically gave legal advice to the Board of Appeals relative to that that request for, I'm sorry, Section 7 Wildwood Park, I should have said. And that's my report for this month.
All right, thank you very much. The code enforcement officer report is available to all of us. So if you're interested in seeing that, please contact Matt Betts or the chief or David, and you'll be able to get a copy of that. Is there any reason to go into a closed meeting, Tom? Okay, without that, I think we're ready to adjourn. I'll say it slowly in case somebody speaks up real quick. All right, sounds good. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second on that? All right, we will roll call this one. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
And Councilmember Munder.
Aye.
Councilmember Washima.
Aye.
Councilmember Poirier.
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. So we will see you in February. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope 2021 treats you well. Thank you.
Here, everybody.
Hey,